Hi everyone, welcome to another Make It Again Monday featuring Alex Syberia Designs Life is Good. Previous card made with this stamp set was colored using the coordinating layering stencil set. For this card I'm going to do some easy faux watercoloring. This gorgeous image was stamped with Versamark ink on Bristol Smooth cardstock. I will be applying small amounts of water to the panel, so Bristol Smooth is a good choice. No worries about pilling. The image is coated with gold embossing powder. When I melt it, I make sure that my heat tool is already at its full temperature and then apply the heat to both the front and the back of the panel to minimize warping. I'm going to be coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. The ink is water-based and easily pulled out to create a gradient with a little bit of water. If you love that watercolor look but don't have a lot of experience working with watercolors, this is a great alternative. These markers are very easy to work with. One of the other areas that can be a little bit daunting is thinking about light and shadow. I don't get too hung up on this, and I just apply the color right at the base of each leaf and flower petal. After the color is applied, I'm using a watercolor paintbrush to pull that color up. A water brush pen would work equally as well. I just dip the point of my brush into the water. I don't want to introduce too much water to the area that I'm working on. I want there to be a lot of contrast between the shadow areas and the highlights. After the color is applied with the marker, I don't go over the entire area with my water brush. I'll just follow along the edges and pull just that up so I can maintain the depth of color where the marker has been applied to the paper. As I work up towards the tip of the leaf, which is my highlight area, after every 2 or 3 paint strokes, I will tap off my watercolor brush onto some paper towel to remove the paint that I've picked up. Less paint, less intensity, resulting in a nice highlight area. All of the beautiful flowers in this image will be colored in purple and pink tones. If you're interested in knowing the specific colors, I have those listed on my blog at bonniecarolee.com. When working on the flowers, I work one flower petal at a time. Because the image is embossed, I'm able to go ahead and paint petals right next to each other. Without the embossing, I would be spending quite a bit of time waiting for petals to dry before I could paint the one next to it. If I didn't, the paint would bleed from one petal to the next. The embossed lines act like dams and prevent that from happening. I don't have to worry about losing those highlight areas that I'm working to achieve on each of the petals. When it is obvious to me that one petal is being overlapped by another one, I'll bring that color up right along the side to create a shadow area. The color is pulled out right from the edge of where the marker color was applied. This creates a nice gradient from a dark tone to a light tone. I often like to use a little trick to accentuate the highlight areas. After the panel is completely dry, I'm going to apply some watered down gouache just on the tips of my flower petals. After the paint is applied, I clean off my brush and just blend the edge where it meets the color. Even though gouache is an opaque paint, because it has been watered down, it will dry translucent. The panel is popped into a protective box. I use a fan brush to apply the rest of the watered down gouache to the panel. The gouache is more watered down than what I would typically use for spatter, but this creates a very soft and subtle effect. Both the floral spray and white sheet foam are cut with the coordinating die. The image is adhered to the foam die cut. To create the background, I first apply a little bit of tape to the back of an A2 size panel, flip it over, and then center my stencil over it. I'm going to create a simple tone-on-tone background with Alex Syberia Designs Modern Striped Stencil. I'm applying a paper glaze by Picket Fence Studios called Arctic Fox. I start off with a fairly thick coat of the glaze. After the panel has been completely covered, I'll then use my spatula to help remove some of the excess and smooth it out. When the glaze dries, it has a shimmery effect and contrasts nicely with the matte of the cardstock. The stenciled background was trimmed down to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches and then mounted on a gold foil matted A2 size card base. This stamp set comes with several sentiments. I've stamped the Life is Good with black VersaFine ink and clear embossed it. The sentiment was die cut with the coordinating die and then stacked on 3 die cuts of white cardstock. This card was embellished with some beautiful confetti by Studio Cassia called Crystal Clear. It actually isn't quite crystal clear. It has this beautiful iridescent quality to it. To create a jewel-like effect, the confetti is finished off with Nouveau Crystal Drops Morning Dew. That completes another episode of Make It Again Monday featuring Alex Syberia Designs Life is Good. I hope you enjoyed this video and will join me again for this bi-weekly series where I highlight products and techniques that I absolutely love. As always, I appreciate your visit.